David, the rabbi. Okay, Torah, Tisa 172, second column. 5 lines in the top of the page. The last thing that the Rabbi is explaining the meditation in the greatness of Elokus, that Hashem is not only great, but He's in greater than the greater. He's the hidden of the hidden. And that's that's what the commandment is. She is burning kol kach be'echad mamish. You should meditate so much in the word of echad that what happens from it is that havaya lekecha, that havaya, the supernatural, becomes elokecha. Your nature, with these 3 levels, all your heart, all your soul, all your might or money, whatever, is machshava dibur amaisa, which means you should love Hashem in your thought, in your speech, and in your action, meaning there should be no other thought, speech, or action. Which is that everything should be nullified to the echad, which is even higher than thought. The last machshava, to speak on the realization that no mind can grasp Hashem. A person's mind can only think something tangible, something physical. To think something completely abstract is almost impossible for a human mind to think it. And that's Shekel the Gomer. And that's what he says, B'chol nafshecha. But Mesiras Nefesh, what does it mean? B'chol levavcha means with the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara. B'chol nafshecha, he says, Afilu neitos nafshecha, the Gemara says, even if they're ready to take your life, you have to love Hashem. Why? Ki nefesh shel adam, what is the soul of a person? In other words, where do you see the functionality of the soul? That's in thought, speech, and action. The garments of the soul. V'akol, and what's the avodah v'ahavto? Limsili is bottle be'echad mamish. To become mamish, one with echad. Meaning, there is no other thought, speech, or action but what Hashem wants.
Rabbi, why the commandment is to love, not to respect?
That's the second mitzvah, liyira. Awe. Fear, awe. There's 2 mitzvahs. It's impossible it's impossible that a person shouldn't think. Therefore you have to bind your thought, speech, and action to become completely bottled to Hashem and Torah mitzvahs. Because where does Torah come from? From the level of Chokhmah, which is higher than thought. There's Seichel, Midas, and then thought, speech, and action. Midas are higher than thought, speech, and action. Seichel is even higher. That's what the Gemara says. If you do any mitzvah according to halacha, because you need to know the Torah, the halacha, how to do the mitzvah. He says, but Torah dresses itself into physical things. How can we say that through Torah you connect to the essence of Hashem when Torah itself deals with physical things, swindlers, liars, and all that? He says, and definitely when it comes to action, like tzedakah, and he says, Chassidus is like the analogy of hair. Okay? Hair grows from the scalp, from the head. Now, a mayach b'chinas sidus cloud. There's no hair in the brain. The brain just nourishes the hair. Okay? Keinu ha'teirav ha'mitzvos. Even though they're dealing with physical objects, it's still the level of chokhmah. It's still the level of higher. And he says, this meditation in the greatness of Hashem, and that no other thing exists but Hashem, not thoughts, not for thinking or eating or speaking or talking, doing. This is chayv al kol adam lisbeinin b'haitiv. Okay? He said, this is a mitzvah that every Jew has to have. Because the question was asked, how can I command you to love? The answer is, the mitzvah is not to love. The mitzvah is to meditate in a way that will bring you to love. Because when you meditate into Einay Milvadei, there's no place where Hashem doesn't exist, and everything is only Hashem, and nothing else exists. And he says, that's the free choice of a person, to meditate or not to meditate. Every person on their own level. I'll tell you down at the beginning of the Maimed, there's v'yahavta, you should love, v'yahavta, you will love, in the future tense. What does it mean, Lashon Hasid? That comes memela. That love comes automatically in Hava Rabba. Haba Milmaila Meita Yizbarach. The second love, in other words, there's v'yahavta that we do, and there's v'yahavta that Hashem does for us. So our aveda v'yahavta is to meditate into the greatness of Hashem. Then there's the second level of aveda that Hashem gives us as a gift. That's the innate avos of the neshama that every Jew has as an inheritance from Avraham Avinu. In the genes, correct. Okay? In this level, because Shema is two things. The word Shema means hear, and Shema also means meditate. In the first level of Ava, it's meditation to do it, because you have to reveal it. The second level of V'yahavta, which is automatic, so then Shema doesn't mean meditation, is there. Shema means to hear, meaning, you can't have any meditation in that level of Hashem because it's l'mayla is baininus. That gift that comes from above is not something we could accomplish. It's way above it. It's even a higher level of ava. An ava that comes from above, if it comes from above, your avodah has nothing to do with it.
Which one initiates which one? The Mesuderet is there.
He's not done yet, but Pashtus, you have to meditate first into the V'yahavta of meditation. Milmata l'mayla, and that stimulates the Ava Milmayla l'mata, like everything else. The awakening from below stimulates the awakening from above. Yeah.
So Tachlis in the morning, we're supposed to meditate before we do Shema?
Yeah, the only problem is if you're planning to daven a minyan and get to work, it's a little difficult. But by the way, this meditation doesn't only have to be when you're davening. It could be at work, and you begin, you have a few minutes between customers, so to speak. So a person meditates, can meditate then. It's avodah of Shema. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yochanan says, Halavai sheyispalul adam kol hayom kulei. Halavai means if it would only be that a guy should daven the whole day. Now obviously it doesn't mean you say Haidu, and 10 minutes later La Hashem, and 10 minutes later Kiru, and you know what I mean? That's not what he means. What he means is, a person will be in the level of davening the whole day. Now what's tefillah? Tefillah means binding, connection. So he's not talking about the physical tefillah. He's speaking about the avodah of tefillah. You have davening, and then you have what's called avodas hatefillah, the refinement of tefillah, the servitude of tefillah. So that is a level of tefillah which means connection and binding to Hashem. And that's what a Levaya person would be bound to Hashem a whole day.
Is that a mitzvah?
What?
The fact that
The V'yahavta is one of the 6 constant mitzvahs.
constant.
The chinuch in his introduction, chinuch was a rishon that counted the mitzvahs, you know. So the chinuch says in his introduction, there's what's called sheish ari miklat. The 6 mitzvahs, the city of refuge mitzvahs, they are continuous. And he says, the ava, yira, I mean, there's 6 mitzvahs that a person has to be, amuna. There's 6 continuous mitzvahs. So when is it a mitzvah connected to time? No, it's 24/7.
It's למעלה מן הזמן.
No, but it's in Zman. And that's, he says, V'zan nikra shekel HaKodesh. Okay, because he says, Zat yitnu, what was the Maiman? Zat yitnu, machzas HaShekel b'Shekel HaKodesh. He says, that's called Shekel HaKodesh Kesef, because it says, what's the Shekel HaKodesh? It wasn't gold, it's silver. Yeah? So he says, what is the level of silver? Lashon nichseif nichsafta. The tremendous longing, which is Ava Rabba. Haba Mamayla b'Mishkal, which comes above into every single Jew, Vishi order delay, based on his level of Asay Tev. V'Surmera, okay, meaning, Tzarach is betachlis, that the doing good and the turning away from evil has to be pure, continuous, and that's what's called Evel HaSeicher. You know, when Avram Avinu paid for Marsa Machpelah, Abba Mei Shekel Kesef, Evel HaSeicher. Simply, Evel HaSeicher actually means there's certain currencies that are not international. Evel HaSeicher means like the dollar is an international Evel HaSeicher. It's wherever you go. But here he's saying, what is the Arba Meir Shekel? He's going to explain soon the number 400. Arba Meir Shekel Kesef, the 400 levels of Shekel Kesef, of love, longing, is Eiver LaSeicher. What does Eiver LaSeicher mean? Seicher means schor. In Hebrew, schor means round. Eiver LaSeicher means
Circulating.
that it, I know, but in Hebrew, the word schor also means around. Circulating all around is the word from the concept of around. So Eiver LaSeicher means that this level of Ava, Shekel HaKesef, love, has to be Eiver LaSeicher, a level of Elokus which is higher than world. World. Seviv Kolam Zeba Abba Meir Shekel Kesef. The Dalit Meir Alman Dechsuf from Alman De Osim. Whatever it says in Kabbalah, there's 400 worlds of shame and losses. Okay, whatever. V'zeh Esim Geir Shekel. Okay? And that's why it says the shekel is composed of 20. Okay, now let's get one thing straight. The Rebbe is explaining Shekel HaKesef represents the love that a Jew has to Hashem. Shekel HaKesef, right? Then the pasuk says, how much is a shekel? Esrim Geira HaShekel. Shekel is 20 Geira, and you have to give half of it. Machzas a shekel.
10 Geira.
So all the Mefarshim ask, why does the Torah say extra things? Machzas a shekel, 10 Geira. Why is it telling us a whole shekel is 10? You have to use your brain to figure out half of 10 is, and 20 is 10. Why doesn't the Torah just say, give a half a shekel, esed Geira, 10 Geira?
Connected to Yosef, saying,
So the Alter Rebbe is explaining here, because in the Ava, Shekel Kesef, there's 2 Avas. There's our Ava with the 10 Koiches and Nefesh, and then there's the other 10 that comes from Hashem. So Esrim Geir Hashem, this Shekel HaKesef, this love that a Jew has to Hashem, is actually Esrim Geira. It's not only 10 Geira, because then it would be only either from Hashem to us or us to Hashem. But here we're saying Esrim Geira, which means it's the double level. In fact, all the Mefarshim ask this question, why did Hashem command us to give a half a shekel? In Torah, everything's complete. Why did he tell us to give if you can give a half a shekel, you can give a whole shekel? Why did Hashem tell us to give a half a shekel? So there's a lot of, Mefarshim explain, up Musa, so to speak, that the concept is, you have to realize I'm only a half, the other Jew is, and the another Jew completes me, or I'm only a half, Hashem is the other half that completes me. Right? Here's along the same lines, Alter Rebbe is explaining that this love that a Jew has to Hashem, there's 2 definitions of Yahavta. There's the Yahavta that you do, His brain in this meditation. And then there's an ava that comes from above.
Is there any particular reason why we are commingling something that
Why we're what?
commingling something that is so spiritual like love with something that is so materialistic like shekel?
Because if you, I'll tell you why. If you tell somebody, you tell your spouse, I love you very much, but that's where it begins and ends. You don't do anything, you don't show anything, you just say. Yes? If it doesn't come into tangible, is it worth anything? Is it worth anything?
It's better than nothing.
No, it's not. On the contrary, it's worse because then you're lying.
Like does the job.
It doesn't do. Okay, I'll talk to your wife later.
No, but you see.
Listen, you understand what I'm
You
saying?
substantiate what you said about loving by showing affection. But in this case, here is something so materialistic as circulating coin. This is something so...
But this is a fiery coin that Hashem showed Moshe Rabbeinu, Rashi says, in the Medrash. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand the half a shekel. It says, Zeh Yitnu. Hashem says he had to show him, Hashem had to show Moshe Rabbeinu what a half a shekel is. Moshe Rabbeinu, Rashi says in this week's Pasha, was very wealthy. Okay, from the luches, he engraved the second luches, and the pselis, the leftover, the Mikal Mitzashem, Moshe Rabbeinu became very wealthy. Yeah? Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know what a half a shekel is. Maybe he didn't know anything less than 1,000,000 shekel. I don't know. Why did Hashem have to show Moshe Rabbeinu a machzas a shekel, matbeh shel eish, Hashem showed him a fiery coin. Well, why? Doesn't know what a half a shekel is. Hashem tells Moshe Rabbeinu the explanation. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand. It says l'chapa nefshei seichem. Yeah, in the beginning of this week's parsha, it says in fact he doesn't bring it up. The point is the half a shekel was to forgive the golden calf. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand how could a half a shekel, a Jew gives half a love, how could that forgive for the eagle? So Hashem showed Moshe Rabbeinu a fiery coin. What does that mean? That the fire of the neshama.
Yeah, now you're talking. Because now you're talking about fire, something not so tangible, something. How can you equate affection and love and respect with something so materialistic as a coin that is being exchanged?
How does a person show affection?
Love, I love you, you hug, you kiss.
That's tangible.
Yeah, but coin is it's such commerce, it's so opposite of love and affection.
Yeah, but that's something the world runs on, not on hugs. The world doesn't run on hugs, the world runs on shekels, or dollars. The world doesn't run on hugs.
We're in such a lofty, beautiful level.
Okay, weiter. I got it. Okay, you're right. Now, next. Because both of these avas, meditation and milmaila, is klul and meyasa seichel amidas. Ubechinas ava rabba milmaila, even the love that comes from above, from Hashem, is also klula meyasa, is also composed of 10. And that's why it says the whole shekel, which represents half of it is the love of a Jew to Hashem, and half of it is the love of Hashem to the Jew. Now you have a complete picture. You can't have a one-way love. One-way love doesn't work, right? In order to have a complete level of ava, you need to have reciprocal love. You love A, and A loves you. And that's why we love Hashem. That's the completeness of it. That's what it says. Kisi says, Reish B'nai Yisrael of Kudehem. When you elevate the head of the B'nai Yisrael for their numbers, Hanun, Sham Asanikra Reish of Kudehem. Like it says, Hashem Pakad Sarah. Hashem remembered Sarah, we mean birth, refers to the Jew. V'nasu ish keifa nafshel Hashem. He says, Ach, shalei l'chol adam ba'ava rabba hanal. He said like this, this second love that Hashem gives this gift from above, that is so high, meditation doesn't reach there, not every person merits that. It's a great level. But the first ava that Hashem says, you give 10 shekel, 10 gero, half a shekel, that is a mandatory mitzvah, and it's a biblical mitzvah in the time of the Beis HaMikdash. What pekudim means? Mitzvahs, ramach pekudim. Hainu, af mi she'ever chas v'sholem is a mitzvah, even a person who, God forbid, transgressed a mitzvah, you still have to give machzas a shekel in the Eser Shalai. You still have to do your part. And this machzas a shekel is Truma Hashem. So he says like this: even person ho'ever al apkudim. This is how the Rebbe is defining the kol ho'ever al apkudim. Simply means all those that are accounted for, meaning over 20. Yeah? But here he says like this. The Rebbe is explaining in a deeper sense. Even ha'ever al apkudim, even somebody who transgresses, doesn't have Veda over the pekudim, the mitzvahs, yeah? He also has to give machzas a shekel. He still has to have this, and this is a mandatory thing, to meditate into the greatness of Hashem. Which means, how as bad as you are, you still have a mitzvah to connect. And therefore you can't say, hey, I'm done. I can't do anything about it. Because you have a mitzvah giving machzas a shekel. What's the chiddush? He's teaching the words. Okay, the parenthesis. We will finish the mind, but he says, as Isra'atim Isra'atim, okay, Simcha Tzadikim Hashem, V'yuvim Misham Gamki, the B'chinas Haveda B'Simcha. So therefore, this Haveda, now the Alter Rebbe is saying, either Tzemach Tzedek or the Alter Rebbe, is saying at the end of the Maimed that this level of the Haveda, of Machzas HaShekel giving, which means thought, speech, and action, Seichel, and Midas, everything, yeah, is only connected to Elokus. Right? There's no other thought, speech, or action. He says that Aveda has to do b'simcha only.
There are Jews who don't daven. They say, oh, I love Hashem in my heart, this, that.
A cardiac Jew.
Right. So they are.
But you know what happened to a cardiac Jew? To get a heart attack because there's too much pressure on the heart.
But they're doing mitzvah, they're meditating.
Yeah, they're not meditating, they're doing the mitzvah. Here he's talking about his beinus eined muvadei. He's not talking about his beinus, yeah, I love Hashem, you know, he's a nice guy, whatever. That's not his beinus he's talking about here. It's good. I'm not knocking it that it's bad.
It's good.
It's good, but it's not what he's talking about here.
People who came from, discussed this before. They don't daven, but when they're standing in front of Hashem, it's like fire.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, but there is.
That's because the Pintaliyid exists within every Jew.
So they are doing a mitzvah, they are doing something.
I'm not saying they're not doing mitzvahs. But if you're talking about the meditation of becoming openly one with Hashem, Ava means becoming one. Love means becoming one, right? We learned that many times. But generally speaking, nobody knows what the word love means. I love you. What does that mean? What does it mean? Like Manis Friedman used to say, a guy, oh, I love chicken. Yeah? That's what you do to something you love. You kill it and you cook it and that's what you do with somebody you love. You don't love chicken, you love yourself. Chicken tastes good, so you love chicken. But you don't love chicken. What does loving somebody mean? Ask a guy in the street, what is love? They will not define it for you.
Giving them the chicken.
Your needs decide for their needs.
No, that's not what Ava means. Ava, Aleph, Hey, Beis, Hey equals 13. Okay, Echad is also 13. Definition of Ava means you become one with the thing you love. It's not me and you. Ava means we become one.
That level of meditation.
That's the level of meditation that you become mamish one with Hashem. Like he says, there is no other thought. There is no other speech, there's no other action. That's what we're talking about ultimately. Now a Jew that comes to put on tefillin, it's very big connection. It's very great. But that's not what he's talking about here. He's talking about the mitzvah of Yahavta. If you love Hashem properly, you will never transgress any negative or positive commandment. You can't.
And the fact that you do because you don't love him.
I told you, Rabbi Levine, he was known as the Aryeh Levine, his name was. He was the Tzaddik Yerushalayim. They called everybody, he was a very holy Jew. Yeah, very spiritual, very learned. He was called the Tzaddik Yerushalayim in the previous generation. And he once came to the doctor with his wife and said, we have a pain in my wife's leg. It's a great Shalom Bayis concept. We have a pain in my wife's leg. Which means he felt the pain. He wasn't lying. It wasn't cute. He said a statement. If my wife's in pain, I feel it. You know why a mother, unlike the father, when a baby cries, the mother will tell you why they're crying. The father will say, I'll be quiet. The mother will know why the kid's crying. Yeah? Now, it's hard to know. It's like it says in a Yem Yem, when the Tzemach Tzedek would learn, he'd stop in the middle of learning and sing a niggin, and based on the niggin he's saying, that's what the Chassidim knew what he was learning. Okay? Now, how does a mother know why a baby's crying? Because she's in tuned much more than the father. The mother is in tune with the baby more, so she feels the baby. Just like the baby knows why it's crying, the mother knows why it's crying.